Welcome back to Rocket Talk. We are now here for episode 11. As always, I am joined by.
I'm Connor.
And I'm Johnny.
So, we're kind of a broken record, but we are here another week in the social distancing, quarantine, coronavirus stuff. So, just kind of what we've been doing these last few episodes. Has there been anything noteworthy you guys have been doing, video game wise, TV show, movies, anything like that?
Ooh, yes. I showed Emily Goodfellas, and of course, it was amazing. It was an awesome movie, although she is not a big fan of the graphic violence portion of it. But she was definitely hooked on that film because it's one of the few movies that where narrating is not a detriment to the film. If you do it right, it really, really helps push the story along. And it was perfect. And the whole movie was just amazing. It's an amazing film.
Nice. What about you, Johnny?
Well, I have been watching. I said last week that I was starting to watch a lot of stuff on Disney Plus. Like I started watching Goof Troop, but recently, in the past few days, I've put that on hold and I've started watching a bunch of Disney movies. So, like, I've watched all of the Toy Stories, all of the Aladdins. I've watched Aladdin's 2 and 3. Oof, let me tell you, those were rough to get through.
Yeah, Aladdin 2 sucks.
Aladdin 3 is not much better. And I've watched 2 Star Wars movies. I've watched Zootopia, Wreck-It Ralph, 2 Pirates movies, just a bunch of Disney Plus stuff. And I've got a long watch list still to go, and I'm powering through it because there seems to be no end in sight for when I'm going to be going back to work. So that's going to be my life for the time being.
There you go. I mean, at least with the third Aladdin, Robin Williams was back instead of what's his name, the voice of Homer, like that is in Aladdin 2 in the TV show.
Yeah, but it wasn't. He was back, but it's still like the animation quality was that of the TV show, and it just everything in general, like the plot and the characters, everything just seemed like people gave like a lot less effort.
Yeah, well, I mean that's the difference between a straight to DVD or well, I guess straight to video compared to a theatrical release.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's see. Abby and I, Abby made me watch High School Musical, and so no, I wasn't watching Disney at the time when that would have been on, so that was the first time I watched it.
Wasn't it awesome?
It's not as great as Hairspray or Mamma Mia. It was enjoyable though.
I haven't seen it since I was a kid, and I'm imagining it doesn't hold up.
It's someone who never seen it. Like it's obviously like cheesy and like the plot isn't like fully believable. That the fact that like the different groups are like so far apart that they wouldn't even talk to each other at all. But it wasn't like rewatching like Phil the Future or Danny Phantom or anything like that, where it's like there's some it's rough around the edges. It
does Phil not hold up either?
No, no.
We
watched that. We watched that one of the first. We watched that one of the first few days that Disney Plus was available, and Abby and I were like, "Okay, no more Phil the Future."
Oh man, I put it on my watch list, and I was super excited to get back into it. Like once I power through some of my movies, but man, I'm hoping like, oh dang, that's because I loved Phil the Future as a kid.
They just do a lot of weird with like sound effects. Like they put a lot of like cartoon sound effects you'd have on like Looney Tunes and like slapstick cartoons like that. And so it just was really weird because you have this like, I guess it's obviously science fiction because they're from the future, but it's live action and with humans but yeah, I did that, and then actually right before we recorded, I finally got the last couple collectibles for Ty the Tasmanian Tiger and did the final boss. Oof, that final boss is kind of a joke, but hey, it was fun to replay that again as a kid because some of those levels, since my old PlayStation 2 disc was scratched up, I hadn't played in years before I played again on the remake. Definitely a ton of fun. I definitely think you would enjoy it, Johnny, because it is kind of that collectathon platformer type of thing, and there's some fun puzzles with it.
And I can't remember. Was this just a remaster, or did they have to change anything like the physics for it or the layouts of any of the levels?
No, it's just a remaster. So the couple things did change. They added a boomerang wheel that they added in later games. So if you hold, I think it's up on the D-pad, you can quickly swap to boomerang. Because otherwise you have to press left and right on the D-pad, and it'll you'll spin through the cycle. And so if you're on like the flame boomerang, and you want to go to the boomerang that slows down time on enemies, you'd have to swipe through all of them to get to it. Then they also added both versions of the bonus levels, because I didn't realize this till just recently. When the game came out on the PlayStation 2, the bonus level you get for collecting all the collectibles is different from the one on the GameCube. So on the PlayStation 2 version, it's at nighttime, and a couple of the puzzles you have to do to get some of the platforms to move is different than the GameCube one during the day. And so I didn't realize that at all. So that was cool. But yeah, it was a ton of fun to replay. Like I said before, I definitely think you'll enjoy it, Johnny, if you ever were to get it. It's also $30 right now, just like SpongeBob, but I'm sure it'll probably go on sale at some point.
Yeah, I might give it a shot. I've got a few other games I want to get before that, but I'll definitely consider it down the line.
Perfect. And then another thing I've done is I restarted Portal 2 because that game is fantastic. And actually today is the 9th anniversary of that game. So
awesome.
It's great, because what was cool about it was on the PlayStation 3 version, when you bought the game, it had integration with Steam, the PC platform that Valve owns. And so buying the PS3 version, you got a free copy of a digital PC version as well. And so I bought the game on PlayStation 3, 2011, and then I have it on Steam, and I will occasionally re-download it on different computers that I have. And so I re-downloaded it again and been playing through it. And so I'm only a couple hours into it again, and it's so much fun, because most of the test chambers I still remember. There's a few that it took me up for a few minutes where I had to remember exactly how I had to do it. But oh man, that game is incredible. It is definitely one of my favorite games of all time, and just the writing is just, it's so funny too, because it's a very sterile and dry humor with it, and it's so funny. At one point, Gladys is talking to you, saying that she may have found your parents, and then she's like, "Oh, I made the whole thing up, but here, let's call them." And so over the PA, it calls a phone, and it says, "The birth parents you were trying to reach does not love you. Please hang up," or something like that. And there's just a bunch of just little witty stuff like that. And it just makes me laugh so hard. I am definitely re-enjoying my time through it again. I'll have to see if some of my friends who have it on PC can re-download it, so we can do co-op together too.
That might be another one of my bucket list games right there.
Oh yeah,
it's amazing.
It's incredible. It's so good. Everything about it, because you have to use the physics as well with your puzzle. So there's some test chambers where you have to jump and maneuver your portal, so then the speed you enter is what you go out of. So you want to be jumping down, and then it'll fling you further. It definitely takes a lot of a lot of problem solving and a lot of thinking, but once you figure some of those out, it's just so much fun. And then it has a pretty so it has a good gameplay, has a really good story, an incredible cast. J.K. Simmons is is Cave Johnson, the CEO of Aperture Science, and so you hear him through old voice recordings. And then Stephen Merchant is Wheatley, and he's one of the main characters in the game. And so, he's been in a bunch of stuff, especially with Ricky Gervais. He was on the UK Office, and he's been on a bunch of other stuff. He actually was in Logan. He is Caliban, the mutant who can, the pale skin one, the one who can detect other mutants. So that was Steve Merchant. So he's the voice of Wheatley. He's his personality core, and it's a ton of fun. I am definitely going to enjoy my time playing through it again over the next few days.
Nice. Yeah, and have you guys have either of you guys been playing Animal Crossing still?
Oh yeah. I actually
Not letting
sold
Portal 2 step in front of your Animal Crossing.
Oh, of course. I wanted to. I bought almost 2,000 turnips last week, and I was like, okay, I need to sell these because it was like Wednesday or Thursday, and so I was wanting to get rid of these before it got too late because on our island, Abby and I's turnips are only worth about 60 or 70, and so I found on Twitter someone whose island was like 500 something. And
Wow.
so so I went to I waited a couple hours because they post on Twitter so like anyone could go once they DM'd them the island code, and so I went and I sold all of them for over 1,000,000 bells, and so I did that to pay off a couple expansions for my home, built a couple bridges. Abby and I got KK to finally come, and so now we can terraform, and Abby's been rearranging our island and making it look awesome. So, yeah, I definitely been doing that too.
Yeah, I've been playing Animal Crossing I've played it every day just to like catch up on like a few things that I need to do every day, but I've not been playing nearly as much as I did when it first came out. I've just been, I've been playing a bit less video games and just more like streaming stuff, but I definitely need to get back into playing some more video games because I don't know when I'm going to get this much time ever again. So I just, I gotta appreciate it while I have it, and that's exactly what Animal Crossing's for. I also got KK to come, and so I have my terraforming equipment, but I have so much, like, it's exactly what I've been waiting to do, but like now that I have the ability to shape my island however I want it to, that's like so much freedom that I don't know what to do with all that freedom, and I have no idea what to do to my island. So I've got a lot of like half projects made up that like make there's like weird cliffs here and there, and I designed my house to be like between two waterfalls. So like every time I start the game, I walk out and there's like two raging waterfalls, and I really love it. But then I realized that like it's so hard to hear anything when I'm between the two waterfalls. So now I'm probably just going to demolish them and start over and
Keep
do
one at least.
something else that's cool. I don't know. I might, but it's really cool. Like I like the design of it, but it's just so it's so loud. Like it is insanely loud to live between two waterfalls. And I don't know. I'll do it. I have to like I put a lot of paths down for some of the villagers, but then when I moved them in the first time, they were all scattered around, and so I wanted to move them back so they can all be together. So it's kind of like a little village portion of the island. But it costs 50,000 bells to move one of them, and I was like, "There's no way I'm paying 50,000 bells to move somebody." So I can't afford that right now. So I'm just gonna wait until I get rich from turnips, maybe. But
there you go. Yeah. Yeah. Abby and I we moved our houses. We made this little. She made like where there's a cliffside right by us, so we're kind of enclosed in there together, and so we haven't really moved our villagers yet. We'll see too, because they're in a couple clumps, and so now with Abby moving, we will have one that's by themselves, but everyone else is in clumps of like 2 or 3. So we'll probably do some more changing around. But speaking of Animal Crossing, in typical Nintendo fashion. With Earth Day coming up, and Nintendo said that we're going to get some sort of Earth Day event. Earth Day is Wednesday the 22nd, so a couple days after we're recording this podcast. And as of the time of recording, we know nothing about what is to come with this event. Just like it. Knowing Nintendo, they're probably going to drop something. Monday or Tuesday, and then have it ready for Wednesday, or right when they announce that. But I mean, I'm not surprised at this at all. I'm sure you aren't either, Johnny, since you also are a big Nintendo guy. But I wonder if they had bigger plans, and then because everyone hated Zipper, that they kind of toned it down.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm definitely like I definitely expected this as well. I as far as like Earth Day goes, I was kind of like, well, part of me wanted to hear, more sooner, but since we don't know more, I'm just kind of not surprised about it. But yeah, I think that Zipper definitely didn't leave a good taste in people's mouths, and so now Nintendo might have to like switch some things around. But hopefully, hopefully they know now that like what people want is not to be bombarded with like a holiday relevant item. There's other things. There's like so many different ideas that they could come up with, ways to like improve the game through a holiday, or even if it's like permanent. There's even been talks of like Luke. I don't know if you've seen much about it, but there's been the rumors that there's going to be an update to the museum, where they will have an art gallery. They used to have an art gallery like in the older games, but it's not in this one for some reason. But there were some like Isabel said something that was like your town could improve up to 5 stars if you add more shops or something like that. And the only shops that are available are Nook's Cranny and the Able Sisters. So people think that there might also be a coffee shop where Brewster, an old owl that like sold coffee, will like it'll be a coffee shop, which would be kind of cool. I don't know exactly what you would do with the coffee shop, but it used to be like really cheap, and like I think it was Wild World is when he first came in. It was like maybe 100 or 500 bells for like a cup of coffee that did nothing. It was just kind of the idea, like you go to listen to KK and then you just go get coffee or something. I hope they do something to actually make it useful or like practical, I guess. If that is the case, but
well, I mean, didn't they do that with fruit? Because wasn't fruit in old games just like
yeah,
you could sell it, but you could eat it for nothing.
Yeah, now there's an actual practical purpose to it. So yeah, maybe there'll be something like if you drink coffee, then I don't know, I don't know. I know Nintendo. I'm sure they'll be able to come up with something that's kind of cool. But I don't know. I'm hoping that a coffee shows up, and I'm hoping that the museum gets a art gallery portion of it, because there's an upstairs, but the upstairs doesn't go to anything. It just is like 2 benches, and so people think that the art gallery is going to be up those stairs and like maybe like to the left or right, or So there's definitely room for it.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, there's other things I could think of too. Just like with Flick and CJ, how they come by every few days, there could be some sort of way where they could even have some sort of shop or some sort of temporary thing they could do, or like something with like food, and I'm sure they'll figure something out.
Kix too. Kix could have his own store.
True.
Yeah. So yeah, I hope that
Sahara.
like they add more. That'll definitely Sahara. They definitely have a lot of like potential for like having your own kind of like city. Like City Folk was the last console game for Animal Crossing, and if they add more stores like that, then it'll definitely give people a lot more creative control of like how they want to run their island, because they can have a village portion, a city portion, and then they can have like the museum somewhere. So I don't know. There's a lot of potential.
For sure. Moving on though to a news topic we got this week, one that I was very excited about. After lots of rumors, we finally got to confirm that Sam Raimi, the director of Spider-Man 1 and 2, is going to be directing the Doctor Strange sequel that will be a part of the MCU. So, yeah, I'm very excited for that, because Scott Derrickson was supposed to be working on Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, but creative differences with him and Marvel had him leave the project, and so now Raimi is coming there, and this is one of the biggest gets that I think that the MCU has gotten in a while, because the fact is like he directed and produced the Spider-Man trilogy, and yeah, sure, the third movie was not as good, but he like helped bring the superhero movies kind of back after the last few Batmans and some of the lesser late 90s or 2000 movies had done. Like he had with the first 2 Spider movies were like some incredible films. So definitely excited for this to see what will happen
it's
with
great
it.
to read that, like he said, like Doctor Strange was in like his top 5 comic book heroes, his top 5 favorite comic book heroes when he was growing up. So he's very familiar with the source material, and he's got the chops, as we saw with the first 2. So this is amazing. And to throw some shade, you can't just say that you want to direct as an outsider looking in to throw some shade at Zack Snyder, who's definitely listening to this.
Yes, Zack Snyder listening to our podcast. He's one of our 4 listeners.
Yes.
But yeah, what's crazy is this was supposed to kick off production in these next couple of weeks, but with the whole Corona thing, it'll now be delayed a little bit. But
and I don't know if you guys knew this, but this upcoming Friday, of the time of recording this, was originally the theatrical release of Black Widow. So we could have been seeing it this Friday, but we will not be. Nobody will be. So.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't just drop it on. Disney Plus, but.
Well, it's not supposed to be out yet, so I'm sure depending on how long this lasts. If we're back to work next month, then I'm sure they'll release it, sometime later this summer. But if we're, not back to work until, well, me, you guys are still working. But if most people aren't back to work by like July or August, I would imagine that they'd probably just do what they did with Onward and just put it on.
Yeah, because it was supposed to come out actually not next week, the week after, May 1st. And then now it's scheduled to come out in November on the 6th.
Oh, so, wow.
Mm-hmm. Basically what they did is they pushed everything back a movie. So this is now coming out in November, and then in November we were supposed to get Eternals, and now that'll come out next February and that replaced I can't remember what the other one. It was another one of the new movies, like the Shanghai or the Legend of the Ten Rings. That's then coming out now next May. So at least as far right now as far as we know, who knows? I don't know how much filming they got done, because I want to say they just started filming for that one like 2 months ago.
Wow.
So. Oh, and another MCU thing that we forgot to mention too is that Jim from The Office is rumored to be in discussion to also join the MCU. So
yes,
that would be great. But
he's been for fan casting him online as Mr. Fantastic.
He's been rumored for a while though. There's rumors resurfacing, but it's a lot of people are wanting that for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. John Krasinski would be awesome, and especially because he's been getting a lot of praise for his work on Jack Ryan and in A Quiet Place. So who knows? Man, the weirdest thing though is, so right now during this whole Corona thing, he's doing a web series called Some Good News. It's like 15-minute. Well, and it's crazy because his voice is not the same as it was as Jim on The Office. His accent's a little different, and it just, every time I watch it, it just throws me off. It's like, this isn't Jim. Because some of the other actors, like you hear Steve Carell talk, or you hear Jenna Fisher, and like all like most of the other actors and actresses from The Office sound like how they do on the show, outside of him and the guy who plays Kevin and a couple other characters. But
it's weird to see him like all like peppy and quirky in the show. It's like it's perfect because we get to see him like just kind of gush about people doing great things, but also it's like seeing him in a suit and tie and kind of all anchor like is just weird.
Yeah, but he wore like a suit and tie during The Office too, especially in the later seasons.
Yeah, that's why it's like a throwback. But then he's like, it makes him look like he's wearing this like like it makes him look like he's Jim, but then he's like all peppy and it's weird.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so that's another thing. Hopefully, we can get some more of that because yeah, if he's Mr. Fantastic, that would be awesome. I wonder who will be the rest of the Fantastic Four. Hopefully, with him on there and some other actors, it'll actually be a good movie.
I wonder if it would be too on the nose to cast Emily Blunt as the Invisible Woman. Like they're married in real life and they were together in The Quiet Place, so I figured if they were together again,
they could do it. I mean, we sort of had the same thing with Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver in Age of Ultron because those two were married in Godzilla.
Yeah, that's true. But they're. I don't know Fantastic Four super well, but I'm Mr. Fantastic and Invisible Woman. They're love interest, right? They're not the siblings.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, Johnny Storm.
It's.
Yeah. So if the two of them are Invisible Woman and Mr. Fantastic, that'd be a great power couple, both on screen and off.
And yeah, they both like the common portrayals we see of those two characters. They would be able to fit.
For sure. Yeah. So yeah, I could see it.
So they just need to make sure that they actually give the movie more than an hour and a half of time, and the final battle is done in 5 minutes, and then it will be a good movie.
Yeah, that.
Who would you guys want as a villain?
I mean, they're gonna do Doctor Doom if they do a Fantastic Four because it's Fantastic Four.
You got to set up that whole thing. I wouldn't mind seeing someone else, and like even though it would be like, I don't know, like it wouldn't be the same because like Doctor Doom is their biggest villain, but like seeing the Mole Man would be awesome because that's also one of their first ever villains from the comic book series.
Yeah. I mean, I guess what with them being able to do this, they can also put in Galactus finally, and that could be one too, where
giant bark cloud.
Yeah, or like we could get some of the Mole Man, or but I wouldn't be surprised if we don't get Doctor Doom in the whenever the Fantastic Four finally does join the MCU, they're gonna tease it. Whether we're gonna see Victor Von Doom in there as like before he's Doctor Doom, or we're gonna there's gonna be something kind of like the end of Avengers with Thanos and all that. So we're gonna see something that'll set up for him to eventually join, just because he's such a important villain in the Marvel universe. Definitely up there as one of the most important that is now in the MCU. So. Definitely interested to see where that comes with that.
Yeah, I'm hoping that if this does come to be true, that'd be great because a lot of people are wanting him and having more having a big name like that, and I don't know I'm hoping it happens.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Me too. Ooh, and then another fantastic news story we did get this week. We finally got the release dates of SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated, the HD remake of the 2003 classic. So we know the game is coming out June 23rd, one day after my birthday.
Happy birthday.
So, thank you.
Yeah, happy birthday.
So the game,
oh man, sorry I missed it.
Oh, I know. But yeah, so it'll be out in 2 months now. And I'm excited for this. I didn't play this one as much as a kid. My SpongeBob game I had was Revenge of the Flying Dutchman, which is not a good game. But
I played. These are the two. Those are the two: the Battle for Bikini Bottom and Curse or Revenge or whatever it's called, of the Flying Dutchman. Those are the two that I played, and those are the only really ones I remember. But I'm excited about this one because it looks great and it looks fun, and it's definitely a way to bring me back to my childhood. So
for sure, well, especially because a lot of the other games got so-so and okay reviews, and then this one was the one that got it was getting 7s and 8s out of 10s, but that's better than what some of the other ones.
Masterpiece.
For a
So
licensed title, pretty much.
Yeah, as
Are you
close
guys
as you
going
can
to
get for a Nickelodeon game.
Yeah. Are you guys going to be getting the regular edition for $30, or do you guys want to go pitch in a little bit more money for the $150 to $300 special editions?
I definitely have
I
$300 burning a hole in my pocket that has a it's a SpongeBob shaped hole in my pocket that needs to be filled. So
as much as I love SpongeBob, I am going to pass on that because, uh, well, like it sure it's cool, but I don't know what I would do with it. So yeah, you get the base game for $30, or the shiny edition is the $150 edition. So it comes with the game, a set of SpongeBob socks, 6 lithograph photos, wall stickers, and then the big thing is it's an 8-inch SpongeBob figurine where he has the golden spatula and his tongue, I guess, is moving. And so, like, it looks like a decently high quality statue. Um, so like, he's on there with Gary, and it looks nice. And so they have that. Or for double the price, you can get the fun edition, and that one's $300. And so you get all the same stuff. You get the game, the socks, the lithographs, the wall stickers, the SpongeBob figurine, and then you also get a Patrick figurine where he has a pair of underwear on a watermelon, and then one of Sandy where yeah, and so you can get all 3 of the playable characters on nice 7-8 inch statues, and then you also get a set of tiki key rings. So, but I don't know, man. I love SpongeBob, but like that's the price of a new Switch. Like that can get you a PlayStation and an Xbox.
Sounds
So,
like you're a fake fan.
I guess so.
when I saw that it was a $300 special edition, I assumed it was a like the Animal Crossing Switch, like Joy Cons and all that. So I thought it was like SpongeBob stickers, like on, and I was like, why would Nintendo do that for Nickelodeon? But then I found out that it's like statues and all that stuff. You named the socks and all that, and I was like, no, I don't know. Other than like YouTubers that are going to buy it because they have the money and they want to be like, hey, this is what it looks like. I don't know too many people that are going to want to buy, spend drop $300 on a, bunch of SpongeBob collectibles. But
well,
yes, like even my brother who loves SpongeBob won't.
He's not going to do that.
I don't think so.
Well, so, I mean, suppose this becomes a classic, and like you buy the statues now, and then you sell it in 30 years, and you retire.
Yeah, I mean, sure, but there was a $500 Banjo-Kazooie statue I saw a few years ago that came out, and as big of a fan as I am of Banjo-Kazooie, I wouldn't drop $500 on a statue. So
I bet it was a first 4 figures one. Those things are like super high quality.
Yeah, they were very nice, but no, I was not about to drop 500. I don't know how I would have justified it to myself if I dropped $500 on something like that. So, SpongeBob and $300 doesn't make much more sense.
Yeah, it's like I spent a lot of money on Sonic Mania because I bought the special edition and then I rebought Mania Plus, but the special edition that came with the statue was $50, so not 300.
Yeah.
I mean, this is clearly targeted towards kids. So why would they even like tack those price tags on there? I mean, that's just because what kid is going to do that?
Well, because yeah, but this is also they're a remake of a game from 2003. So someone who played this as a kid is now an adult who has expendable income. So
yeah,
this is for like the hardcore SpongeBob fan that has money and has nostalgia towards this game. Well, like they probably only made a couple hundred of these, if that. Like it's probably a very rare amount. Like it's probably a pretty rare thing because Call of Duty does stuff like this every year, but they also have a bigger fan base that's a top selling game every year, and their stuff's sometimes a little more practical with like mini fridges and all that, but it's also just a bunch of goofy extra things that only like the hardcore fans will get.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I mean that makes sense, and fair enough that we are like adults now, but I don't know, $300. That's just if they were to lower that, they would actually get some like way more interest in it
Yeah.
and make more
Well,
money.
it's probably because it is that they probably spent a little extra on the statues. Because as much as I love my Sonic Mania statue, you can tell it is a little cheaper. Like it's a pretty hollow plastic inside Sonic, and like so you can tell that Sega went with a little bit cheaper of plastic with it. Where something like a First Four Figures one, that those ones they use high quality plastic. Those ones have just incredible detail, and those are usually more worth those higher price tags. And so it's probably somewhere in between where it's a little bit of a higher quality statue, but it's not going to be one that down the line is going to be worth a ton of money. But who knows? I could be wrong.
I mean, people are going to buy it. Someone's going to want to. It's going to generate interest no matter what.
Oh, for sure. And yeah, sure, there could be just where it's just some big YouTubers that are going to buy it just so they can put a video up and get some thousands of views. But that's still one person that bought it. So
Sure.
But another nice new thing we did get as well is we did have Peacock, the new streaming service by NBC Universal and Comcast, launch for Comcast users. So since Abby and I do have Xfinity internets, we actually were able to get this. We had to get their basically Xfinity's version of like a Chromecast or an Apple TV to use it, but it came to us in like a day. And so I actually have been able to play around a little bit with it. And so actually so far, it's nice. It's going to be where Parks and Rec and The Office will be soon, because Parks and Rec will be leaving Netflix in October, and The Office will be leaving in January. So if you don't have if you don't have Peacock, then you won't be able to watch those shows after a while. But they're going to have a bunch of extra stuff with sports and with movies, and of course a bunch of reboots and continuations of shows. I know there's already plans to do a reboot of Saved by the Bell, and they're going to have a new version of Battlestar Galactica that's going to be on there. And so it's but yeah, so far with the little bit of time I've had with it, it's gone well so far. I noticed a few bugs and glitches with the software when I first used it, but Disney Plus had that when it launched too, and I'm sure Hulu and Netflix and all that had their bugs the first couple weeks out as well. But
sure, and I think there was a library of why am I struggling so hard with my words? There's a library of shows on Peacock TV that really, really piqued my interest that I'd really like for you to dive into. These live channels. Showing like the Tonight Show, SNL, and the others, and that stuff. I love that kind of stuff. Tell me about that.
So I don't know. I don't know how much you've played around with any of those, like those live TV services that are free that you can use a lot on. My TV has it built in on our Vizio, where it's just a bunch of like throwaway channels, and then there'll be ones where it'll just show 24/7 of one thing. So on Peacock right now, they have a 24/7 Saturday Night Live. So it'll just show a whole episode of SNL, and so it'll be like the Adam Driver episode, and you can watch the entire SNL clip, like the entire SNL episode, and then once that's done, it'll show one with David Spade hosting, or with Peyton Manning, or whoever else has hosted over the years, and so you can have that. So then it's one that you don't really want to pick an episode, you can just throw that on in the background, and it'll just scroll through. They have the same with Tonight Show, Jimmy Fallon. They have an Office one on there right now, and since The Office isn't on there yet, what they've been doing is they'll show just a bunch of clips. When I watched it, it was showing the cold opens for each season. So it would show the openings, and so it would go from episode 1 to episode whatever of season 7, and so you get the full openings that they play on those shows, and so it's. And then but one of its big things that I think that'll draw people into it right away is it has all of the Law and Order shows on there right away. So I can go and I can watch any season of SVU or the original Law and Order. And so like that's just the Law and Order poll is, hundreds of episodes, because Law and Order SVU is on season 20 something right now, and the original Law and Order ran for so long as well. So like the fact that you can watch all those, it's kind of like when Disney Plus launched and you had The Simpsons, you had all 700 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because you have 456 episodes of OG Law and Order just right there. That's not even counting SVU or all the other spin-offs in the franchise. So like that's huge right there for someone who like really wants to watch it.
Each service needs to have their hook, their show that everyone's going to join for. So like HBO Max is going to have like Studio Ghibli, and the Peacock's going to have Law and Order. Disney's going to have everything they've ever made. Everyone's got to have that show to pull them in.
Mm-hmm. And and this one then we'll have some of the big other classics as well: Parks, 30 Rock, The Office, the original Saved by the Bell, a bunch of movies. Actually, Shrek is on there.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, Shrek's on there. Evan Almighty. Let's see, what are some other big ones? E.T. So you got some classics. You got some cult classics. They'll have live sports on there, especially with the Olympics, since NBC has all that. So next year when the Olympics come, they'll have a ton of coverage. They'll be able to do a bunch of Premier League stuff. So
nice. And remind me, does this have tiers of memberships, like ads and no ads and stuff like that?
Yeah. So there's two tiers. There's a premium and a base tier. And so depending on if you have Comcast or not will depend on your service structure. So Peacock has two program tiers by default. Peacock Free is available for anyone who has internet, but it's a reduced programming block. And so that's free for anyone who wants it. And then Peacock Premium is no charge for those who have Xfinity or Cox Communications for their TV or internet, or $5 a month for others. And so subscribers to Peacock Premium gets everything, and there are advertising limited to 5 minutes per hour. And then if you want to upgrade on top of that to an ad-free version, you pay another $5. So at most, someone will have to pay $10 a month to get all this ad-free, or just $5 to get it with ads, or for Xfinity customers, it's included with their $70 internet charge. So
that's super reasonable. I might have to look into that. I might try a free trial or something like that.
Yeah, so it's only available right now on Xfinity for the Xfinity Flex, and then Xfinity X1 customers will get it in May, and then in July 15th is the scheduled launch date for everyone. So in about 2 months, you'll be able to go and use it as well. But yeah, I'll definitely be playing around a lot with it more, and then it'll be nice that we have this. I'm sure we'll be sharing it with some family and friends with The Office. I know, because I know Abby and her sister both love to watch that, and so they'll definitely be having that be on their phones and on their TVs, so they can watch The Office again.
God, I need to binge that before it leaves, because I'm on season 3, I think, and I need to get through it because I'm enjoying it now.
Yeah, it sounds like a really good. A really good streaming service. I'm hoping it does well. But there's just so much competition that it's hard to say what really is going to happen. But
yeah, it's insane. Yeah. So think about it, like right now you have just like some of the big ones: CBS All Access, Apple TV, DC Universe, Disney Plus, all the different HBO Now, HBO Max, HBO Go, Netflix, Hulu, Peacock, Showtime and Stars, YouTube Premium, like all these ones. Plus, there's so many other ones where BET has one, and History Channel and all these other ones also have their own now too. So there's just so many that you have, and you just got to figure, okay, which ones do I want to pay for? Which ones do I want? Which one you got to prioritize. And I mentioned it last week too, because Netflix did sign a thing with Viacom for Nickelodeon stuff, but more and more stuff is leaving Netflix because they want a piece of that streaming money pie that Netflix once had almost all of. So it's gonna be interesting to see what this will do to Netflix in the future, because The Office was the most watched show last year, and it's been one of the most watched shows on Netflix for years, and now it's gone. So then they already lost Friends as well. It's like, what is Netflix going to do then to keep up, as now they don't have as much stuff with Disney and Comcast show, and like that. Those are huge libraries that are just gone.
It's going to hurt them for sure, but I mean, their original content is still amazing, and that's probably what they're just going to be focusing on from here on out. I mean, they're still going to draw in good titles, but that's probably what they're going to have to focus on.
Yeah, and we'll see if people want to pay for that, because there's some people that only pay for Netflix for stuff like The Office. They don't pay for it for Stranger Things or Love Is Blind or anything like that. So
I hope
they'll never disappear. No, Netflix will never disappear though, so we'll never have to worry about that. They're so solidified in the streaming game that they'll be all right.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. But now we can move on into the topic of the week, similar to talking about Peacock. This week, we've been talking about Google Stadia. Since it is free now for the next 2 months for anyone who wants to sign up for it, I did sign up for a free trial, and so I thought I can go over a review of it for you guys, and then if you guys have any questions on it as well, we can do that. So for those who don't know, Google Stadia is their streaming video game service, kind of like a Netflix for video games. So you can stream games up to 4K resolution, 60 frames per second, high dynamic range. So the thing is, so you can go play games that you can play on the PlayStation 4, the Xbox One, a PC, and you don't need to have a high-end computer or an expensive game console. You can do it on your couple $100 laptop, or on your Pixel smartphone, your TV if you have a certain Chromecast. And so it allows you to do a ton of it, because it's all cloud-based gaming. So the nice thing about that is, let's say you want to go play Doom Eternal, the newest Doom game. If I went right now and I bought it on Stadia, I could play it within seconds once I pay for it. Where if I bought it on PlayStation, if I bought it digitally, I had to download it, and that's probably a 50, 60 gig game. So I had to download it. It probably has a couple updates. And so if I bought it right now, I probably wouldn't be able to play it tonight. I have to wait till tomorrow, just because it's getting later in the night. Where Stadia, I can just play it almost instantly. So far they have some big name games on there you can buy, just like you can on consoles. There's Borderlands, Red Dead Redemption, Doom Eternal, Tom Clancy's The Division, the Assassin's Creed games, NBA 2K. So there's a good amount of stuff on there. Good games for sure, but I don't know. It's kind of hard for me to say I want to go and buy into something, because like what's to say this doesn't get shut off in a year or two because of poor numbers. I dropped $60 for Doom Eternal, and then I'm out of it. Now I have to go and rebuy it on PlayStation or PC or Switch, because it's digital only. So if they shut down the servers, I can't play it.
But that's a good point. I never would have thought of that. If it just doesn't perform well, what becomes of your games? So what? Remind me. You already said this, but remind me. What does it come like in a console of some sort?
No, so so to access it, you just need a Google account, and then if you want to play it on your computer, on Chrome, on your web browser, you just need internet and and then a Google account. If you want to play it on your TV, you need one of the newer models of the 4K Chromecasts. So you can, because it's built to help with streaming. Or if you want to play on your phone, right now it's only on Pixel smartphones. With more coming with Samsung and Razer and all that down the line. Right now, you can't do it on iPhone yet, and so you can do that, and you can play either with a controller plugged in via wires, if it's a PlayStation, Xbox controller, or you can use your keyboard on your computer, or you can use the Google Stadia controller, which is, I want to say, $60 if you want to buy that. Or you can buy the Google Stadia. They had a Founders Edition they were selling where it came with a Chromecast and a Stadia controller for like $130. And so what I have is I have 2 months free of Stadia Pro, which is their paid service, kind of like their Xbox Live or their Nintendo Switch Online. So with that one, for $10 a month, you get access to about a dozen Stadia Pro games included with it. The only two that really stick out is Destiny 2, which is free to play on every console it's out on. So you're paying to play a game that you can play for free on other consoles. And then Grid, which is a racing game. All the other ones are primarily just smaller indie titles and like puzzle games. And a lot of this stuff looks like primarily stuff you would see on an iPhone in the App Store that is free with a bunch of ads. And so they also do have the Serious Sam games, which were originally a PC only and then moved on to consoles eventually. But that's not really a series that is drawing a ton of people in, like say, Mario or The Last of Us or Halo. Like people, I don't know anyone who's just like, oh yes, I want to play Serious Sam on my Google Stadia. But yeah, overall, it's not a bad service. Games like Destiny and Grid do run well. They look nice. Like they look like if I went and put them on my PS4, and that was on my work PC and on my laptop. There's very minimal input lag that I could notice, which is good too, because shooters and racing games are something you definitely don't want any input lag in, especially one that has multiplayer. They look sharp, but like I said, I don't know. It's kind of hard. Like I don't know if I want to drop $60 to play Doom when the servers could be down in a couple months. And yeah, sure, Doom is going to be down. Like Doom Eternal in like a year and a half is going to be down to like $20 on PlayStation 4, or maybe even quicker with the PS5 coming out. But I don't really know like if it's really worth it. I definitely think one thing that they need to do, if they want to keep this going, is they need to do what PlayStation has been doing with PlayStation Now, which is their cloud streaming service. That is that's either $10 a month, $24 for 3, or $60 for a year, and you have a backlog to a bunch of PS2, 3, and 4 games. And they kind of changed the service up back in the fall a little bit. And one of the big things they did was changed it so now you have a couple big name games that roll in and out. So GTA 5 and God of War will be free on PlayStation Now until January or March or whatever. So during that time, if you don't own GTA 5, you can play it, and it's the full game. You have access to everything. And so you can play big name games. And I think that's one that Stadia could really take a big look at. And hey, yeah, for the month of March, you can play Red Dead Redemption 2 included if you have Stadia Pro. And because then people, I'll try Red Dead for $10, because then they can do it, and they can play it almost anywhere. And as long as they have internet and it can work. But yeah, overall though, it's a good step forward. It's kind of like it's one of the first ones that really like got it out there that can really make cloud gaming worth it for people, but it still right now is not worth spending the money on, I would say. I'll enjoy my 2 months free of it. I'll play some Grid and some Destiny once in a while, but when my 2-month trial's up, I'm not going to be, clamoring at the bits to go and renew my subscription.
Hey, a year from now, let's see what Stadia is like, and I bet it's really, really upped its game.
Yeah, I hope so. That'd be nice. It'd be cool to see because, like I said, there's just not too many games. So right now, if you have Stadia Pro, you get Destiny 2, Grid, a game called Glit, the Serious Sam Collection, Splittings, Stacked on Stacks on Stacks, Steam World Dig 2, Steam World Quest Hand of Gillamek, and Thumper. And it's like, I'm sure there's people that heard some of those games like, oh, okay, I like that, but that's not like there's a whole bunch there. With all the games I have, there are some good ones. So there's Assassin's Creed Odyssey. There's an Attack on Titan game, Borderlands 3, Doom Eternal, Dragon Ball, Xenoverse 2, Darksiders Genesis, Destiny 2, Final Fantasy 15, Farming Simulator 19, Football Manager 20, Grid, Glit, Just Dance, 2020 Klein, Lost Worlds, Metro, Exodus, Mortal Kombat 11, NBA 2K, Rage 2, and and a bunch more. Like there's around 50 or 60 games, I think, plus DLC, so you can go and you can buy the deluxe edition of NBA 2K, and it'll come with all the My Team points and all the same stuff like you'd get buying it on your PS4 or your Switch or whatever. But it would, if this was a recommendation, I would probably give it a 6 high quality streams out of 10.
So not great, but hopefully the future.
Not amazing.
It's the future of gaming, so they're gonna work out those kinks.
Oh yeah, for sure. This is gonna be one that we're gonna see more of in the future. And so once this kind of gets better, hopefully it'll be worth it more. But hey, recommendations, that's a good way to segue into recommendations for the episode. So Connor, last week you gave us the recommendation to watch Major League, the cult classic comedy that just turned 31 like a week ago, I want to say. So first off, Connor, why did you pick this movie?
I miss baseball so much. It's my favorite sport, and this whole pandemic thing just decided to shit all over that and everything else. And so I just wanted to recommend a baseball film, a baseball comedy that you guys probably haven't seen, or at least you haven't seen in a very long time if you have seen. And I'm not going to recommend The Sandlot because everyone has seen that movie 200, 300 times. So I went this way, directed by David S. Ward, featuring people like Tom Berenger, Corbin Burnson, and Charlie Sheen. So yeah, I figured I'd throw that at you guys and see what you guys think.
Yeah, for sure. I hadn't watched that in a few years. I've seen it before too. That it is a classic. It was funny. I was trying to think of, like this is another one of those movies that is just full of iconic lines. Obviously, Just a Bit Outside. Like Just a Bit Outside is one of the biggest things that has definitely stuck with this movie as time gone on. But oh man, my favorite though is just also at the end when they're freaking out about Cleveland winning because like Cleveland winning. That's a good joke. Since it is a fictionalized version of the Indians, but yeah, it was fun to revisit it again just because like this is a lot earlier in Charlie Sheen's career, obviously, since it was 1989 when this came out. And so like he at that point, yeah, he was in Platoon and Wall Street and all that, but he wasn't. There was still a bunch of movies he hadn't made a name for himself fully yet.
Mm-hmm. He actually said that like he will be in anything baseball related if they ask him to be, because he was actually a college prospect for baseball back in the day. So that's why he says baseball is not a sport, it's a religion. And so that was why when he was in the movie, it actually looked like he played baseball. So a lot of these guys it's just the camera angles and tricks with the video editing and stuff like that, but Charlie Sheen actually did have a bit of athleticism that he was able to utilize in the film.
What's crazy is he went to because he played high school at Santa Monica, high school in California. He was in the same. He was there at the same time that Robert Downey Jr. was there before Robert Downey Jr. dropped out to pursue acting.
How come, like, if people in California drop out of school, they become CEOs of big companies or they become actors? But if I were to drop out, I would probably become homeless. I don't get it.
Well, it helps when Robert Downey Jr.'s dad is Robert Downey Sr.
True.
And, just like if Charlie Sheen wanted to do the same thing, it helps that, Martin Sheen is his father.
Well, getting back to the movie.
Yes. Why don't I have a famous parent?
I thought it was good. I was surprised because I wasn't I was expecting it to be just like I don't know what I was expecting. Like I was I think I was expecting it to be like a lot of like scripted baseball games with like dialogue in like around it and between the games, but like it wasn't exactly that. It was like there was a story, there were a lot of characters, and there was like there was that romantic subplot that was like that I don't know. It I guess it fit. It just seemed a little like they were trying to shoehorn in a romance somewhere.
That's actually the reason M likes the movies, because there's a little bit of romance to it too.
Oh my God. I won't say it was my like favorite part, but it was like it was interesting to see kind of like a little bit of progression in something other than baseball within the movie. But yeah, it was definitely it was entertaining. It kept my attention.
It's funny too.
Yeah, it's funny, and I will say that there were some of the characters that like I don't know some of the actors other than obviously Charlie Sheen and Wesley Snipes, but some of the characters like I was mixing up who was who, and then when somebody would do something, I was getting them confused, but I was following it after a while. But it was good. It was a good movie, and yeah, I haven't seen a lot of like other than like you said, The Sandlot. This is one of the first baseball movies I've ever seen. So,
all right.
Yeah, it was a good one.
Oh man, speaking of Wesley Snipes, his character name is probably my favorite in the whole movie, since he is Willie Mays Hayes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah, because Willie Mays is a like real name baseball player that was really good.
Yeah,
but,
considered like top 10 all time. Yeah.
Yeah, like one of the best of all time. But yeah, it's a funny movie. It's one of those. It's up there as one of those really good sport movies. That like everyone that has seen it like quotes it for years. It's up there with like Big Lebowski and Ferris Bueller as just such a quotable movie.
Mm-hmm. And I'll have to say, like, whipping out his dick and pissing on that contract was the ultimate power move.
Yeah.
But and it was funny too that they did pick the city of Cleveland. Even in 1989, at that point, they were a city of losing, because at that point they were about 25 years since the city's last title, and they still had another 20 years to go too before Cleveland would win it. So
one of the writers of the film said that he purposely chose Cleveland because he's an Indians fan, and he will probably never see a championship in his lifetime. So this was his way of being able to see in the Indians win a championship.
Oh, I believe it. I mean, yeah, they
got really close though in 2016.
Yeah, and then they lost to the Cubbies, but yeah, it's pretty funny that. And then like every other good movie from that time period, it spawned a bunch of sequels that are not as good.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I think it was like Back to the Minors or something like that.
I'm was the third. I've never seen. I've seen parts of the second. I will probably never watch I heard the third is just a disaster.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And I think Charlie Sheen said he'd like for them to do a reboot of the series, either as a movie series or as a TV show now, so he can have all those characters play coaches.
Which that'd be a smart idea to do something like that. So I mean, we're getting this with a lot of other things, anyways. With the with upcoming like Ghostbusters and Top Gun and all that. So it'd be smart to do that, but I don't know. Johnny, what would you say then would be your rating for the recommendation?
I would say I would give it a I'd give it an 8 out of 10 peed on contracts.
All right.
That's what I was gonna use. I would also give it 8 just a bit outside pitches out of 10.
I like how they use Bob Uecker because he's the broadcaster for my brew crew.
Yeah, it would. Like I said, yeah, like that. Obviously, everyone knows that line, but yeah, him. It just was perfect as it, and it was a nice change of pace from some of our more nerdy things we've done recently. So it was nice to have a little sport comedy.
I'm glad you guys liked it. All
so
right.
That would be now. It is Johnny's turn to recommend us something. So
I'm definitely ready to throw you guys back into the nerdiness. So my recommendation is a game that I've been loving ever since it came out last fall. It is Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair. There's a free demo on the Nintendo eShop, and actually today, the day of recording, today is the last day. But if you play it tonight and enjoy it, you can buy it at a discounted price. So it is a.
You gonna send me the money?
It's in your bank account. Trust me. It's not technically a sequel to Yooka-Laylee because it's not the same kind of like gameplay, but it is chronologically the next part of the story, if that makes sense. Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair takes off after the, spoiler alert, defeat of the big bad capital B, and he has been thrown into a world called the Royal Stingdom, which is run by Queen Phoebe, and so Yooka-Laylee have to get help from Queen Phoebe and go rescue a bunch of bees because part of the Royal Stingdom to defeat Capital B in the Impossible Lair. And one thing that's really cool about this is that the Impossible Lair is a level that's available from the very beginning of the game. And you can go in and you can face it at any point you want. But it is incredibly hard, and it's called the Impossible Lair for a reason. It took me 32 or 33 tries, something like that, to get it, and it gives you a counter of how many times you failed. So that's definitely a slap to the face for people like me who are really trying their best.
Who suck.
But, well, you go ahead and give it a try and let me know how you do. But every level that you beat, other than the Impossible Lair, you'll rescue a bee when you beat the level. And each bee that you rescue will be one hit that you can take in the Impossible Lair, with a max of, I believe, 48 bees. I got all of them. I got all the 48 bees, and then I went into the Impossible Lair, and I still did not win right away. It took me like 5, 6, 7 more tries with all of the bees until I finally beat it. So the music soundtrack is phenomenal. The gameplay is great. Yuka moves very fluidly, and if you like 2D platformers that like Donkey Kong or Mario or any 2D platforming games, this is definitely up there with the best of them. A lot of reviews have said that this game did a lot better for the 2D platformer genre than the original Yooka-Laylee did for the 3D platformer genre. Of course, I'm a big fan of both, but I definitely see why this one was even more highly praised than their Platonic's first game. So you can find that on the Nintendo eShop like you guys have before.
And on PlayStation, I can even do that on there.
Yes, and PlayStation as well. But yeah, it's Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair. So
yeah, because this would be where the original was more of kind of a spiritual successor to Banjo and like Donkey Kong 64. This is more of a spiritual successor to a Donkey Kong Country type of game, right?
yes, exactly. So yeah, this is not a collectathon. It's definitely a point A to point B kind of game, and there's a lot of stuff in between. But yeah, it definitely there's so many things that Tropical Freeze is what reminds me closest to it, because it's definitely a modern version of the old classic Donkey Kong games, just like Tropical Freeze is. And a lot of people say that Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze is one of the best games, best 2D platformer games of all time. And Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair is a good competition to that. So if that tells you anything about a lot of people's opinions of this game, then you'll know maybe how much you might enjoy it. So I'm looking forward to you guys enjoying it because it's one of my favorite games to play right now. Yeah, that's Yooka-Laylee Impossible Lair.
All right, I really enjoyed the first one. Playing the first one with you. So this one, like I know I'm probably gonna enjoy this one.
Yeah, so we can definitely go more into it next week too. But with this game being more successful than the first one, since the first one was a little more mixed reviews, what do you think would be next then for them? Do you think that this spin-off will turn into the Yooka-Laylee series, or do you think that they're going to try to make a new Yooka-Laylee 2 where it's improved upon the original with some of the stuff they can take from Impossible Lair?
Well, Platonic's whole thing from the beginning was that they said that they want to do a Marvel-esque approach, but with video games, where a lot of the video games that they have are going to have a starring character that might be a side character in a Yooka-Laylee game, and Yooka-Laylee might be a side character in these games. But all of them might have different kinds of genres. So there's a lot of characters, a lot of like colorful characters in Yooka-Laylee that would be perfectly placed in different kinds of genres. Like there's a character that I could easily see being in a first-person shooter kind of game, like a space, like a Samus-esque kind of game, or Metroid, I guess. There's potential for a Conker's Bad Fur Day kind of like an M-rated game, which I think would be really funny. But I don't think that Yuka and Laylee could be in that because since they've been in e-games already, I don't think that it would be a smart marketing move for parents who don't know any better to buy an M-rated game with cutesy characters like that they've seen before. So they'd probably have to go with like a character that's not Yuka and Laylee for that. But I think that the next game that Platonic is going to make is going to be a kart racer. There's been a lot of rumors about a Diddy Kong Racing style game, and like they're doing a good job, I think, of bringing back Rare's top hits. And they've done Banjo, they've done Donkey Kong Country. So I think the next thing is Diddy Kong Racing, and yeah, I'm hoping that that's what it is, and I think that is what it's going to be. But eventually, I know that they're going to go back to Yooka-Laylee 2. A lot of people are like calling it Tooka-Laylee, just like Banjo 2.
I get it.
And then the third one will be Yooka-Laylee 3. So yeah, I think that there's definitely going to be a lot of improvements that they're going to have to make if they make a sequel to the first game. But I'm definitely somebody that's always been on board with, even though they were not perfect and they made some mistakes, I think that people were definitely judging them way too harshly. Just because they put their hopes up doesn't make it necessarily a bad game. It's a phenomenal game. It just had a lot of hiccups along the way that some people are less forgiving towards. So,
well, also wasn't part of the issue people didn't like Yooka-Laylee was because it did kind of play more like they took a platformer from 1999 2000 and then just like up-res the graphics and do it on like an Xbox One. Like didn't it kind of play more like an older platformer, not like a new one?
Yeah, the I think one of the biggest things that they like one of the biggest complaints was that like there were a lot of things that just did not age super well, and like some people even complained like the nonsense voice acting. which is like the gibberish, which is like that's kind of the whole thing, That's as far as like voice acting goes, like that's kind of one of the like iconic things about banjo. But I don't know, there was a lot of like they were like, yeah, we brought back the past, but there was some parts of the past that we wish stayed in the past, and it's like, no, like we asked for this, so like why are we complaining that that's what we got now? So I don't know. It just seemed like there were definitely some valid complaints here and there, but there was a lot of people that were just harsh on it because if something's good in the world, then there's always going to be people who want to hate on it just for the sake of hating on it. That's not to say though that like people who didn't like love it are invalid, but I don't know. I think that it definitely got rated a little bit more harshly than it deserved. But Impossible Layer somehow managed to slip right by, and a lot of people love it. So it's getting very little of that negativity, if any. I haven't really seen much at all of negativity towards the Impossible Layer. So
good.
Yeah. So Impossible Layer is I'm pulled it right now. On Metacritic, its lowest score is 79 on a Switch and 84 on the Xbox One, compared to the original Yooka-Laylee, which the highest is 75 on the Switch and the lowest is 68 on the PS4. So it's getting better because a few places still gave it like good scores. Like IGN gave it a 7 out of 10, Game Informer gave it an 8 out of 10 for the original, and then IGN gave Possible Layer 8.7 and Game Informer 8.5. So a few places like IGN and Game Informer liked both games, but it definitely has gotten a lot more positive reviews compared to its previous game.
So yeah, I'm excited to see what you guys think. And if the original Yooka-Laylee ever goes on or has a demo for it, probably if they ever release the trailer for a Yooka-Laylee 2, then I'll definitely have you guys play a demo of the original Yooka-Laylee as well. But in the meantime, we can play. You guys can play the Impossible Layer, and I'm curious to know what you guys think.
Alrighty, perfect. So
I'm looking
that
forward to
will
it.
wrap up another episode of Rocket Talk. 11 episodes in, so now we can continue on the double digits. Hopefully, we have some more news next week about something at all. But yeah, no. Hopefully, we have something. Just because, as great as it is that we can still, figure out stuff, it'll be nice when we can actually have like main topics to talk about for our 4 listeners. So, but hey, they have to look forward to in about a month. We'll be able to have Gabe on again with Xenoblade, but we're in that lull of time. But as always, make sure you comment and subscribe and all the other fun stuff that you can do. Let us know what you want to hear. We can definitely make sure we can talk about whatever it is, as long as we can feel like we're knowledgeable enough to talk about it. So, bye-bye for now.
Bye, guys.